Okay, so far we have been on module 3, and we looked at the global infrastructure, and we saw how it is organized in terms of regions, availability zones, and then we went further on into local zones, wavelength, right? So how the infrastructure is distributed on the public cloud, as well as if you want to make, kind of connect with your private cloud, then how what are the different mechanisms you would use to bridge that gap, right? So that is what the AWS global infrastructure was about. But the thing is now, then there are a lot of services that we use, right? So you used IAM service, VPC service, EC2 service on your cloud, and but and there are many regions, right? Regions means they are like spread across different locations. So you may be having some services running in um, so you may be having some services which is running in India and some services running in America. So there must be a database there and database here, few machines here, few machines there across different regions. Or even in the same region, you may be having a kind of a multi-tier architecture where the browser is calling the API gateway, the API gateway is calling your Lambda functions. Your Lambda function is going into the database and doing all the database operation, and in the front end you have this website which is connecting through the API gateway, and so a lot of things may be happening even in a single region. But how do you when your services are so spread across, how do you watch what is happening? Because it is like your aeroplane, right? Your where is the aeroplane in the whole route? That is the first problem, right? If the flight is moving from Mumbai to, let's say, London, so what is the the stops or where it is in the flight? That is one observation that you need to do over the entire globe. And the second observation is also that how about the other planes also, right? What are the other planes going through the same airway? So so this is like one system, right? Where one system you have all these aeroplanes, and then you have to observe them. And in case of aeroplane example, definitely they are all on the same, we can say, domain or same zone or same space, and that's why you need to observe everything else also, especially around the plane that you're monitoring. But in the same way, but in the AWS, things are separated out. Like you are not in the same, you are over the same infrastructure, but you are working in a different plane, right? So let me example. So how do we draw this? So when you create your services, you are in your own zone, so nobody is able to access that zone. Kunal is having his own AWS account, and he has created some services over here. So his services cannot be accessed by Pranav, because Pranav has not been given access to Kunal's domain. Kunal's account is given access over here, and at the same time, Pranav must be having his own account, and he must be created his own services. Like he must have created a DynamoDB database over here. So there are two. So this is an example where I'm talking about, let's say Pranav is creating some services, and his set of services is restricted only to him, right? So this is a EC2 over here, and there's a Lambda over here, and there's a DynamoDB over here, And also in this zone, the services may be spread across different regions, right? So it is quite possible that this entire thing is in one region, and but it is quite possible there are other regions also, and it's also quite possible that these services are going across regions to region. So the complexity can vary even in a single domain or single domain account. But definitely this entire infrastructure is operating in this case over a public cloud, right? So the physical infrastructure is still underlying the physical infrastructure is AWS. It is running on all the machines which is running in the availability zones of AWS. But AWS makes sure that using security IAM access permissions, it is going to separate out what Kunal is using versus what Pranav is using. So the thing is, when you're running such a big show, how do you observe it? How do you know which services up, which services down? So definitely you can go to EC2 service and see whether the machine is running, started, stopped, or something like that. But definitely you don't deal only with machines, right? You also, you may be having a web server which is running on EC2, which must be calling a Lambda function, which must be calling a DynamoDB. So you need to not only know this, but let's say something the Lambda failed for some reason. How do you know what caused? So let me use a different color. So this EC2 must be calling Lambda over here, and this Lambda must be calling DynamoDB over here. Then the data goes back to Lambda, Lambda goes to EC2, and EC2, the web server must be giving the data on the browser back to the user. This could be your simple flow call. So how do you know, how do you check this flow and observe it? So such kind of things, such kind of feature is called observability. So you need to make sure you're observing things so that you can detect whenever things goes wrong. And one of the ways to detect things is you keep logging information whenever something is happening. So it is like the browser has called to EC2, so you make that entry somewhere in somewhere in the AWS. So in the AWS there is something known as CloudWatch, right? So CloudWatch, you can make an entry over here, and that EC2 function was called, and this was the input parameter, and this was the output parameter. So this was the error. If there is some error reported by the function, you immediately you have written the program. So in the program, you make sure you are integrating it with your CloudWatch. So these services you can write program to. So you can have a Lambda function over here which integrates with CloudWatch. So CloudWatch, you constantly having the log of information over here where which has been configured by you. By default, CloudWatch implements it logs some things like what is a CPU usage, what is a metric data we say. So metric data would mean something like what is the percentage of CPU that is used, that is a metric. What is the amount of memory that is used? If you want to know the performance of your machine, you need to have the metrics of that machine. So that also can be logged over here. So CloudWatch, you can create your own custom logs, and by default AWS will give their own logs, logging logs which you can observe to know what is to check, to monitor you can say the health of EC2, the health of Lambda function, whether the function got called or not called, with if it was called and what parameters were used. So that is what CloudWatch could be used for. So but the other thing is now let's say there was a hacker who came inside your system. So so the hacker comes into the system, let's say, and he has accessed your EC2, or he must have accessed your let's say DynamoDB, you know, it could be anything, right? So it could be this, or it could be somehow he got access to your DynamoDB database, or somehow he's calling your Lambda function. And now, so there are so many calls, you can see so many calls have been happening. And so one is we just want to make sure everything is running as per as we have designed. If some errors were there in the code and everything, we should be able to detect it, right? So if there is any health problem with the machine, we should be able to detect it. If there was an error in the EC2 machine, Lambda function was not called, so we can check the health of each resources. But if the hacker has come in, then how do you know whether the hacker came in or not? And that's where your CloudTrail is very important. So CloudTrail services tries to answer the question who, when, and which and what. So in the sense, CloudTrail is also like a log entry, but it captures the more of a security perspective. Like there was this one call made on this line, and it says who made the call, means definitely the IP address is tracked. Then the time when it was accessed, that is tracked. Then which resources were used, that was tracked. And apart from that, what functionality, or what function or what process was actually carried out on that resource, or was actually carried out on the resources tracked over here. So so this kind of information is used to, CloudTrail is to make sure if some incident happens, then you are able to, if you're not able to know from your CloudWatch, something has happened, but it doesn't look normal to you, and everything is working as per properly in CloudWatch, but there was an attack in the system, where your hacker came and he kind of bombarded your system using DDoS attack, and it's very difficult to know now where the hacker came from. And that is what CloudTrail will, every time you configure a CloudTrail, you are tracking who made the call, when they made the call, which call they made, and which resources were used, and what functionality was carried out on the resources. So for example, in case of EC2, it can be what kind of services can happen on EC2. EC2, you can start a machine, stop a machine, and you can delete a machine. You can do so many things with EC2, right? So those kind of things, if your EC2 machine disappears all of a sudden, you can look at the CloudTrail, and to see who was accessing the system, when did the EC2 stop, so those kind of details helps you to from the security perspective, look into the details of the incident. So CloudTrail is maybe nothing has happened, hacker did not come in and everything was working fine. So do you want to use CloudTrail still? So CloudTrail is a important process which has, it is used for auditing, as a part of your audit compliance. You have to track everything inside your system. So tomorrow if something goes wrong, let's say some other company said $100,000 was stolen from my computer, from my account. So at that particular time, if you had audit compliance in place, where and as a part of audit compliance you had implemented CloudTrail, you will be able to give that file, the log of the data. So ultimately it will look like some log file only, which is a S3 log file, and you can pull that S3 log file, and you can submit it to anyone, like the government authority, your legal authority, your law and order authorities, or whoever, the IT authority, or maybe the accounting authority. You can any kind of authority can come in at any time for auditing purpose, and for that reason audit as a part of audit compliance process, companies usually have this kind of services already in place. So AWS, if in AWS, if we want to implement such kind of audit compliance process, then CloudTrail should be used. So so I hope so. CloudWatch is basically to look at the to monitor the health of the resources, but CloudTrail is used to track the access information of the resources. The access details. So here we are not concerned about CPU metric, whether the machine was performing well, whether the application ran fast. No, that you can check through CloudWatch and CloudWatch. Okay. So other than that, when there are multiple resources involved, let's say in this system you are using EC2, Lambda and DynamoDB, and you want to know which API gateway was called and which API was called, and then through that API gateway which function was called, and how did that function call go. So the Lambda function, you must have implemented get data over here, and this get data, you must have fetched you must have run a query over here. Let's say you ran a query select star from something, and from here EC2 machine, there was a web page which made that call over here to Lambda function. Let's say call to Lambda function. Now if you want to know that, now this whole process must be taking, let's say, 3 seconds, or let's say 10 seconds. Now 10 seconds is, let's say, a very big time for the response to come in over here. So let me not put at the hacker level, let me put at browser level. Somebody is accessing your services, and it is taking 10 seconds to respond. So considering that there are so many services involved over here, which so considering that so we know that at the browser level, when I'm testing, it is taking 10 seconds, but how do we know which as I said, it must be taking 10 seconds, but for your page to come up. Now, how do you know where in the process what is taking time? And this is where your X-ray services can be used. So X-ray services kinds of gives you the flow of calls, who called, like the browser called API gateway called Lambda called DynamoDB. So you get a flow of calls, like a diagram. You get a flow, kind of a flow of the arrow marks, pointing from the source to the destination, and also you will know the time taken to make the call. So it is quite possible that this call between EC2 to Lambda just took 1 second, let's say, but it took around 9 from the the call from Lambda to the Lambda call took 9 seconds, let's say, and out of which the DynamoDB took around maybe out of these 9 seconds, the DynamoDB took around 3 seconds. So you kind of looking at this map, you can come to know then what is the problem. Is the problem between EC2 and Lambda? So definitely you say no. After the 10 seconds, only 1 second was spent over here. But there was a very big time taken between a call from Lambda to DynamoDB. It was like 9 seconds. And once you do that, you can study your code, and once you know what is the source of the problem, where is the latency problem, you can dig in deeply into whether there may be, maybe the function is doing something, such as an upload function. Upload function may be taking more than 5 seconds to upload, and so that way okay, you are allowing very big files to upload, and that is causing the problem. So you need to make sure whether the files that you are uploading are smaller, or if you want to upload bigger files, you have to break it down into multi-part upload. So solutions can be decided once you know what is the problem and how can you prevent that problem, so that your services do not stop. So X-ray is used to track it's called traces over here. So it kind of gives you a trace of calls. Okay. CloudWatch gives you logs, okay, and it also it kinds of gives you matrices also. So matrix is like your CPU usage, memory usage. These are the kind of metrics that you would use. So that is what X-ray is used for trace of calls. CloudWatch is used to to log information as well as log metric information. So and when you say logs, it is like generic logs, which is covering all types of not only metrics but non-metrics data, like what was the function we called, what was the input parameter data, what was the return parameter, if there was an error, what was the error data. So when you say logging, means it is like comprehensive of everything. But metrics is a very specific numbers associated with specific resources. Okay. So what is CloudTrail used for? CloudTrail is also like it logs events, but it is a very specific use case of logging, which is where it logs everything in the S3. It does not exactly log in the CloudWatch. So CloudTrail logs the who, when, which and what for audit compliance purposes. And it is quite possible that you can, whatever is logged in CloudWatch, you can put it into the CloudTrail, and or whatever there is in the not in the CloudTrail, sorry, the reverse way. Whatever is in the CloudTrail, you can put it back in the CloudWatch. So through the CloudWatch, you can also see a log entry which is going the who, when, which, what from CloudTrail. Whatever is being tracked away, you can put it over here in the CloudWatch also. But remember, when you think about CloudWatch, it is a big home of all types of logs. So if you want to focus properly then on one particular services, then you need to create a separate log folder. So something known as log groups. So you can create log groups just like we create folders on a machine, and on that folder we have a specific set of files. So every log group will have a specific type of log, and So CloudWatch also gives you some kind of a graphical view of the metrics, so you can see from the graphical view also, you can come to see what is happening with the system. So that is what X-ray, CloudWatch, CloudTrail is done. But let's say you wanted to make sure you combine all these three, all these three are somewhere connected, right? So in every call, definitely there is a who, when, which, what. In every call, in that particular call, there is a particular resource being used, and certain metrics being associated with that. And in every call, there is a flow of calls. So how do you say everything in one place? And that is where service lens is used. So service lens is a mix of you can say X-ray plus CloudWatch, not CloudTrail. Okay. So if you want to include CloudTrail logs, CloudTrail information, then you need to connect your CloudTrail to CloudWatch. Otherwise, by general, CloudTrail will definitely put everything in the S3 bucket. So that is all about CloudWatch, CloudTrail, X-ray, service lens. Let's see now. So all the above services help you observe your AWS, and such a feature is called observability. So CloudWatch is used to log information and errors of the AWS service. It is used to check the health details of the system and applications such as CPU usage, what data was used during the call, and so forth. CloudTrail is used to track the user access activity and details to AWS services, mainly used as a requirement in security and compliance. So X-ray is used to view the flow of API calls between AWS services, used to debug the complex system. Service lens, it correlates metrics. So I hope you understand what is metric. A CPU usage, how much was the CPU usage, what was the percentage of the CPU usage. That is a metric. That is not a log. A log is actually, you can take this entry and create a record inside your CloudWatch. And so it kind of correlates between metrics, logs, and traces. Service lens provides an end-to-end view of your services to help you quickly pinpoint performance bottlenecks. And so performance bottlenecks, as I said, something is taking 9 seconds. So that is a performance bottleneck. And it identifies impacted users. So which set of users, where the call is coming from, and who were actually impacted, because of this, maybe the website went down. So who are impacted, that you can come to know, which region went down or which city machine was responsible. You can come to know in detail. So CloudTrail is a AWS service that helps you enable governance, compliance, operational, and risk auditing of your AWS account. Actions taken by the user, role, or AWS service are recorded as events in CloudTrail. So every time something is some user is accessing, that is an event, and there is an event history. So there is definitely a sequence of events. User called once at 1 a.m. then he called the same service at 2 a.m. So there is an event history. With CloudTrail, you can identify who or which action, what resources were acted upon, when the event occurred, and other details. It helps you analyze and respond to activity in your AWS account, especially when the system is down or when there is an attack. CloudTrail is the place where we begin with. So this link is a tutorial how to implement CloudTrail. So before that, I just want to show you one example of CloudTrail. So one entry is, let's say, open this in so this is like one JSON entry. So your JSON data looks like this. Okay, you just open bracket, there's a close bracket. So this is one record inside your system. So what you can see, what is the data being captured by the CloudTrail. So you can see what was the type of user, right? User identity, this track, and the type of user was IAM user. So there was a particular IAM user which was her name was Alice, her access key ID was so, and the username was Alice over here. So this user identity made the call. Who made the call, right? And this is like when they made a call to, the call was made at 2014-0306 and so and so time zone. And what was accessed during this call? EC2 was accessed, right? And what function was carried out on an EC2? This person tried to start an instance over here. So start instance event was logged over here. And which region did it log in? It logged into US East 2 region. And what was the IP address of the person who accessed this? The IP address of his machine was 205.251.233.176. So that is the IP of, let's say you are accessing AWS, then your IP address will be logged in over here. And what other tools were used? EC2 API tools was used. And so what was the instance ID? Every instance has got a particular ID, right? So what was the instance ID? Even in EC2 there are many IDs. So which instance what we are talking about? So we are talking about IEF9E2. And what was the current state before he accessed? It was pending state. And what was the what is the previous state? Previous state was stop. So when he tried to start the machine, this moved from stop stage to pending stage. So as we know, machines, whenever you want to start a machine, first it is stop stage, then it goes into pending, and then it goes after some time into started stage. So there will be actually two events recorded because of what he is doing. One is that it was stopped and then it went into pending state. And then second event will be fired where it was in the pending state and it went into start stage. So based on these two events, we know this user tried to access the machine. And if we want to prove it, prove that who did what, when they did it, how they did it, or what were the functionalities they carried out, you use this particular log entry. So this entry will be put in the S3 bucket and you can report it. Like, there was if anybody denies that there was an access from the IP address, there is a log over here. So that is about CloudTrail. As I said, there is a tutorial, AWS CloudTrail tutorial. So I want you to practice this tutorial. There are 4-5 steps involved: how to create a trail, how to create. So I want you to do a tutorial on CloudWatch, CloudTrail, X-Ray, and Service Lens. This is a link. Let me share the link. So this is not there in your AWS Cloud Study Lab, but you need to do this if you want to become, if you want to, get inside the cloud. This skill set is very important. This is a very useful skill set from the administration perspective, from the security perspective. If you know how to, configure this, track this, report this, comes in the more into observability, security, admin. So this is an example of an X-ray service. So what is happening over here? So it says, on the DynamoDB database, get item was called on maybe some table score keep dash game, and it took 6 milliseconds. And the second call went to score keep session, it took 5 milliseconds. And so the entire score keep operation took 39 milliseconds. As I said, we are looking from the browser perspective, right? That I'm playing a game, and it took 39 milliseconds. Now, where the 39 milliseconds, how it is distributed, that is this, data giving. This was called first, and after that this was called, and the third was called, and each of them, how much time it took, it kind of gives you the indication. And then finally, when you try to save the data, it took 14 milliseconds. So out of 39 milliseconds, 14 milliseconds only went into saving. So you can work on each of this specific entry and try to improvise the time in case if you want to improve the performance. So this is another example of X-ray service, your trace, right? So there's a client over here, and this is a diagram you'll see. So you need to do this. So I want you to do this tutorial also, because this tutorial is what is going to if you manage to do this tutorial, then believe me, you learn same thing again. So this is a X-ray, okay? X-ray score cube. It is a simple game which they have implemented, and so I have not personally tried it, but I want you to try this and see how this looks up. So you can use Learner Lab if you want. Learner Lab account is a $100 account. You can practice over there. If you have a free tier, then you can use a free tier account. But Learner Lab also is available in case if you need access, and if you don't have, let me know. And then I will give you Learner Lab access. $100 account you will get. So you can't do everything in Learner Lab, but maybe most of these things you should be able to try it out on your own. This is another tutorial. This is a little complex tutorial, so I wouldn't recommend as a first go. But if you really want to become an expert, then you should try this tutorial for sure. It will take you around 4 hours. Means I am guessing when it is 4 hours, it may mean a full day for you. So we already built service explained. So this is an example of your service lens. So you're seeing, on the right hand side, you're seeing where the errors are. There was an error in the lambda function. You see, error. Here the 4xx error was there. There was a, so you can see where the errors were, where the alarms were. So there was an alarm over here. So you can see the alarm symbol over here. And so the one is you're looking at the flow, but other thing you're also looking at, the details of the call, like there was an error, there was a fault, there was a time taken. So everything is in one place over here, that is what service lens is used. So that kind of tracing is called service map. So this is another link which got to do with service lens. I'm sharing this service for homework. So you need to try all these tutorials when you get time. Not when you get time, you have to actually do it in case if you want to, If you are implementing, if you have a surveillance website tutorial, I think I given last time surveillance website tutorial. You can so this tutorial actually implements a serverless website application. So you can implement a serverless application and try to. It doesn't teach you how to integrate X-ray, service lens or CloudWatch. That is what something you can try on your to integrate if you want to do it independently. Otherwise, the tutorial should be good enough to give you a good start. So that is all I wanted to cover on observability and observability services a little bit. And any other question anyone has?